We never did our Deadpool.
You are the host. I turn everything over to you, even pre-diatribe.
All right. Three, two, one. Welcome to this episode of the Prestige-ish Media Podcast. I'm your host, Dan McNair, and with me on leave from WrestleMania is somebody much like a koosh ball but with dicks. It's Craig Lake, ladies and gentlemen. Craig Lake, good evening to you. How are you doing?
That was very descriptive. I am passable. I am getting through another week. I thought it was a pretty good episode of The Boys, more or less. I'm not sure if it was as good as the batch of last week's, but still a passable episode. I give it a 7.6, but I generally liked it. What about you?
Fair enough. Yes, today we're going to be covering The Boys season 5, episode 3. Every one of you sons of bitches is the name of the episode.
Hi.
I went and gave it a 7.3.
Okay.
Between Euphoria and The Boys, that's three 7.3s in a row for me. Any just overall takeaway beyond that as far as how the episode grabbed you or overall mood?
I thought it started stronger than it ended. I can't say why. I think we both talked about deaths of consequence early, but obviously we only really had the one with A Train. We have two red shirts go this episode, and Cindy Lou Who and the boy that's jerking it and spraying axe spray all over Juan Carlos Esposito.
Bro mango spray.
But yeah, I'll turn it back over to you, my favorite Brobo cop. But yeah, I thought it was fine, and a 7.6 is above fine. But I definitely think you have the last two episodes ranked about the same, correct?
Yeah, this is same neighborhood territory. I like that we catch up with some other characters in this episode, so they didn't try and like character dump on us in the first one. And
Unlike Sherry Lewis at Studio 54.
did you know who Sherry Lewis is?
Yeah, I'm a big lamb chop fan. And even I think Z might be a lamb chop fan. I could be wrong.
Okay, so for the kids, who's hotter, Sherry Lewis or Lamb Chop?
Lamb chop for sure. I mean, she's dog looking, but gotta love Sherry Lewis. I mean, she's a fun time.
Advantage push.
I didn't
Uh,
see her at I mean, their hair is about the same. See, I got 1990s Sherry Lewis. 70s Sherry Lewis, maybe that was a better time.
yeah,
Traditionally,
maybe Studio 54. She was really the belle of the ball. I don't know.
traditionally redhead's not my thing, but who knows what she can do with all those veloquistic tricks. I'm sure some things work better than others.
Well, I'm sure you can appreciate somebody that's good with their hands. Picking
It's
up this
the hand
episode,
job that never ends. Go ahead.
we were dropped into Russia and in the middle of house coming under like an invasion. And we catch up with young Ryan, who's not quite so young anymore. Apparently, he's been over in Russia looking for Legos. I imagine you were probably sad that he didn't have a Lego recreation for you.
I did. That's all he's good for.
That's what I was wondering.
I mean, I didn't recognize him at first. And like last episode, we had that one guy. I don't know who he is. He looks the same as this guy. Any of them could have been in Gen V to me. But after I settled in, I realized it was the same dude. But he is giving off heavy, like Joffrey vibes. Like he's becoming even more unlikable the older he gets. Did you catch the hot fries? Were those like firecracker fries on the floor, or what were?
They were something in universe. I didn't screen grab it or snip it or anything like that, but it did look like fire crotch fries or
I
something like
wasn't sure if it
that.
was like Brave Maeve's Forest Adventure or what these were, but admittedly, I actually started this episode on my phone, and so I couldn't quite pull that out, but was hoping you had it. But we'll tune in for next week and we'll forget about it like our death pool.
I did have the read on Ryan. Maybe it was his laser eyes or something else, but I figured he was so predominant in past seasons that he would be coming back sooner or later. And one of your favorite things that we saw with Euphoria. follow our coverage on that, is when they do the previously on and they show like scenes from the past and it's, oh, Zoe, you've met my son Ryan and stuff like that before. They really tee it up for the viewer that's not doing a podcast.
I did skip over it, but I did remember that relationship from way back when. But it just, and that's how I placed him was in that scene, but it did take me more than a second to process what was going on with him.
Moving along, the first of many imaginary points for Craig. In episode 2, as I was doodling away at my notepad, you caught the Undertaker return of Soldier Boy, and they don't jerk you around with it. Soldier Boy is alive and well, and they give him like the Global Nobel Prize of Awesomeness or some very made up Congressional Medal of Freedom. And I think Homelander even steps in and gives him a Dad of the Year mug if that wasn't enough. Did you like that we just went straight on with the Soldier Boy thing, or did you want
Yeah, I
something
did have
different?
a note on the medal. I think it was the Uranus Medal of Freedom. You can check that off your bingo board. Um,
Anytime you can work in some butt stuff, I know you're going to be good for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only question I had is how he went so quickly from death to looking younger than Homelander. And then I did forget about Homelander's gray pubes, but it's like maybe they're making the actor that plays Homelander look agey, but he looks like he has Ozempic face too. And so I was like, it's pretty sad that his dad is looking better than him, but that actually is in universe. I thought it was funny that he didn't he call the one chick like Cleopatra Jones or something. And
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was racist or funny. I laughed.
yeah, I didn't know what it was, but it's probably not far off my sister Sledge Dog and Pony show. Does it seem like he's delivering himself a little differently than he did previously? Like he seems a little more over the top to me than I felt he did before, but I just don't remember it bothering me, but some of his dialogue takes me out a little bit the way he delivers it.
I imagine much like my bachelor party, you probably blacked out for a lot of hero gasm and the last time we went around the sun with Soldier Boy because it has been a while. This seems true to the character for me.
Okay. I'll
Maybe
believe
he
it.
wasn't as much of a focus though.
Yeah, it didn't bother me as much. Now, did he have any PTSD before? I remember he was like in the motel room drinking or something, but I didn't know the flashbulbs was more of the issues with Homelander going on, but like I was processing that early trying to figure out because like I almost felt like maybe he had some PTSD stuff from before, but we don't really see any of that here.
I attribute that to Homelander. Before in our past coverage, we've made mention of his tinnitus a lot. And now, yes, there seems to be this flashbulb disorientation that Homelander goes through. More on that in a moment. What our takeaway after this prize presentation is that it seems like both teams, the boys and the seven, simultaneously understand that Soldier Boy has immunity to this virus because of V1. They splice it together almost with them finishing each other's sandwiches, where it's like, how could
Settle
he do it?
down.
Oh, he's
Are we not doing phrasing anymore? Finishing each other's sandwiches?
it's a Frozen reference.
Okay.
I'm doing it for the kids, Craig.
Okay.
I'm in there for the kids.
It didn't sound
But
child friendly. Go ahead.
so anyway, both teams have the same realization that ultimately there is a potential cure out there. This is the Hail Mary for the boys to take out Homelander. Both sides realize that if they can get back to the original V1, that can create some sort of immunity from this virus. And they both come to this realization at the same time. And Starlight says she knows where to start to try and go back into the 30s or the 50s or Vietnam or wherever in the timeline this is. And that basically takes them to Stan Edgar's door. Anything you have to share from those developments?
Yeah, now as far as tackling this V1 as like a cure, I heard that the Starlighters said that V1 is basically a horse dewormer. Is there any truth to that? That it's not really a cure? That
I don't even know what this means. You're gonna have to
um,
explain your jokes, which makes them less funny, unfortunately.
or it could be advantage push for me. Yeah, I mean, it was good to see this come for full circle, but I would have been very ajar if I hadn't seen the boys or the Gen V. I would have not known what the hell was going on, but I did because of obviously we did that dog and pony show.
Yeah, and a minor credit to the show, they don't waste a lot of time getting here. There have been times with the boys in the past where you could lose a whole episode with dick jokes just figuring out like, oh, we need a cure. Like it, you were concerned with how many seasons they were going and some of the
Yeah, if
zigs
there
and
were six
zags.
seasons, we would have got a lot of run around the mill here. I did want
But
to
here, like Soldier Boy's alive, and our focus for this is to try and get to this V1 bull crap.
I did want to point out the black Spock joke if you're not getting there, but I did think that was like a funny mother's milk line where he was like, are we going to just keep talking like black Spock or are we going to get down to business? Whatever that was.
Any other visualizations you have of Black Spock? Take me through this wormhole.
The only other wormhole I'll take you down is I did not really try to absorb it as much last episode, but yes, Mother's Milk is past skim and on his way to fat-free Mother's Milk at this point. He looked about Homelander's bathwaters version of Mother's Milk.
Oh, geez. Okay, that great observation on your part.
I'm sure that
So,
you like seeing Stan Edgar, though. I mean, you're a big Stan Edgar head. And I did think he
yeah,
was better this episode than he's been in a while.
Juan Carlo Esposito. I will let you misspell and mispronounce his name at your leisure. Rejoins basically the place that Starlight alludes to is a compound where we catch up with Stan and his granddaughter Zoe. Zoe's mom had been murdered by Butcher at the finale of season 4. So they go there without Butcher. Good call. And also in the compound, we find young Maverick. Maverick is the son of Translucent. Translucent was one of the original 7 that Huey blew up in the back of a Tony Roma's way back in season 1 or 2.
Not the first guy Huey's blown in the back of a Tony Roma's, but continue.
So Maverick was in Gen V in the first season at
I
least.
think I remember him curving around, but I don't know that I had placed that it was Translucent's kid, but I do recall some invisible dude perving around.
So they catch up with Stan Edgar. You get your Black Spock line. The line that I appreciated from Stan Edgar was he says, I believe the children are our future. Did you catch that reference?
Yeah, is that
Little
like Dionne Warwick or Warwick Davis? Who does that song?
Whitney Houston, I believe.
Okay, is that Wind Beneath My Wings? Is that a different one?
I believe the children are the future, but that's what I'm going to
Okay.
call the song in my playlist.
Does NXS have a version of this?
I was going to
Or
ask
Fallout Boy?
yes, no, and all of the above. Any other Whitney Houston songs not on your playlist that you
I
can
just
think
know
of?
I think this was like my kindergarten graduation song, I feel like. But that also could have been Wind Beneath My Wings. Who's to say? I don't know that they're
It
different
was
songs still.
your version of Jessica Z's Vitamin C song. I
Probably.
this is the equivalent for you.
She knows all about vitamin C. Continue.
What took this episode down a good little notch for me is a little bit more dream theater or dream sequence theater with Homelander. I was happy to see good old Madeline Stillwell return as he's just groaning out on the floor of his apartment. But he's having these hallucinations. Me, a big fan of it, but as long as Elizabeth Shue makes an appearance, I'm not going to complain too much. And she gives him the milk routine. You're watching this, what are you thinking?
I figured you'd think it was a really good shoe. But secondarily to that, like at the beginning of it, it looked like the culmination of a Homelander superhero panic attack, which I feel like in the last 5 years, every show's had someone's had a panic attack.
Okay.
But
Panic attacks and lesbians.
we get them all.
They go
So,
together like panic attacks and lesbians.
but only one show, an octopus, and we're watching it. But yeah, I figured you'd be glad to see her. It didn't do a lot for me. I really couldn't figure out what's really going on here, other than maybe he is losing his mind. Tough for me to really think this is a real dream sequence. I think maybe the main thing is just get convey to the audience that he is trying to make himself into this god. They had to sell us on that, is my the only thing I can figure they were trying to do, but it was definitely weird, right?
I'm gonna buy that the dude's bad enough. I don't need any more convincing.
I would agree, but I just don't know what else they're doing. And it could just be they wanted to bring her back for one more shot on the way out. I don't know if we'll get her again. And for boys' humor, like the glowing hoots is about as good as it's gonna get for that type of humor. At least it wasn't like a fart or something or someone's butthole.
So back at the compound, Zoe texts Ryan. He flies down from the sky. So they reunite, and we can check the box. Hey, they were friends. They've maintained their friendship. Ryan's seemingly on the run, and it's all very dangerous. And you got to believe that Homelander's looking for him. Probably the government's looking for him. I believe the last we saw Ryan, he killed Old Lady Grace, who you would probably call Jane Lynch, but not Jane Lynch, when Butcher was trying to talk him down, and he just has been on the run this whole time. So Zoe pops out of the little sewer or whatever the crap it is, goes back down, and of course Butcher's lying there lurking in his return. There was no real surprise here for me. Anything that you took away?
Speaking of checking the box, where the hell's Little Cricket? I might have Z'd out at the end of Gen V, but I remember the Harry Potter of Gen V escaped. I remember that happened, but did everybody escape? I thought there was like still a full crew back at the house.
Yeah, that's a good question. That Marie has a crew of Gen V people running around. I haven't
Is
watched.
Marie is Harry Potter?
Yes.
Okay.
She's got with her,
Now,
I think, Little Cricket, Sam.
okay, so they like left the Shire together. Now is I'm really mixing them all. Now is
You want to
she
work in some Star Wars here? We don't have a Star
it
Wars reference.
is she somehow have the midi chlorians of V1?
I doubt it.
I thought there was a big deal that she was like the only one that survived again, or is that more like how Homelander survived?
Her and Homelander are similar in that regard, but Homelander doesn't even have the V1. There was
Gotcha.
something about her birth that was special, so you might be onto something here.
Yeah, I thought something that because it was like Godolkin adjacent, so I didn't really know what was going on there. I had forgot that he killed Jane Lynch on camera, but when he was like, "Oi, mate, you killed the cunt and then ran to Russia," I was like, "Oh, did he kill Jane Lynch?" That's all I got.
So under the compound, we get our Vibro Mango Thunder. I wanted to ask you one thing we haven't really discussed on the podcast. You got any men's fragrances that you're fond of that you wear to win all the ladies over? Cologne, body spray, anything like that you're repping these days?
Speaking of Bumble matches, we're talking. So, ladies, you better get at it while the getting's good. But there is a Versace cologne that I like better than others. It's a blue one, but I don't know the name. And then I also, it could be Juan Carlos Esposito, Pablo Escobar. It's Juan Carbone, but it's like the 1 million cent or whatever. That's like the gold bar. Those are my two current in rotation. What about you? What does Dan go to bat with, if you
There was a
will?
time when I was a fragrance guy. I had the Cool Water, I had the Armani, I had some of those fragrances. Now, sometimes some of my customers will come gift me different colognes. So I got a little back stock
Okay,
of
okay.
good smelling stuff, and I'll just go through it. I'm not really impartial to anyone, but I've never really been a body spray guy. I've always been more of a cologne guy.
Yeah, I mean, when I was of the age, I feel like it was during the big like Axe body spray push, like I was right in that range. It wasn't something like I'd wear it at night, but it was like a good pre-post gym spray type of thing, but it wasn't where that when I would wear to go out with the ladies. But yeah, I was probably I think that was like the heyday of Axe body spray, right in my late teens,
Yeah,
early
you were the
20s.
target market, and you probably have aged out of Vibro mango spray. And
Yeah.
moving along, Butcher and Ryan they cut back and forth a lot of different ways here, but I think we can cut most of the Butcher stuff. He talks Ryan into this planned suicide. Oh, I'm gonna be right there with you, mate. But I do want to say, and I thought this was weird, you get double the imaginary points for the dad at the bottom of the Thames. Like you picked up on that in the first episode. We never saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll back credit you and say maybe he's lying still. I mean, that's still a
It was it
possibility.
was just so weird they didn't show it to me. This show loves the deaths and the gore. So if Butcher's gonna do it, like there's something weird there.
Yeah, so I'm back reverse double negativing my points to you and saying I think it's still possible there is one more part to play there. I thought maybe we'd get like the three generations of Butcher, which we still may get later. And he's, boy, mate, I raised a mighty fine, but he ain't that bad of a lad. Give him some credit. And then he dies. And then those two bond over ads, something like that.
Or what if Butcher injects some of the old V into Dad, make him a super, and send him on the suicide mission? Like you can get one thing right, raw,
I
and
think Nate and Cal Jacobs is the only two father son injections I can take for 1 year.
you're a little OD'd on that as of recently.
Yes.
All right, we'll see. So, not only are the boys trying to work with Stan Edgar to figure all this stuff out, so a Homelander sends out a team. So, we've got Black Noir, we've got Deep driving the Cybertruck.
Yes.
Do you have the needle drop? It's got to be a
Oh,
wrestling song.
It was Limp Biscuit. Was it Rollin'?
Okay.
The Undertaker did come out to that for a bit, if that's which one it was, but it was Limp Biscuit. I do remember that.
Okay. But limp corn biscuits, puddles and nickels, they're all the
Corn
same
is
to me.
very different. They've got mash going on. I That's a little too hardcore for me, but
It's all vegetables. But then in the back seat, we get Cindy and the return of Dog, the
is that who that
uninspiring, boring
was?
hunter.
God, he was dog. I thought he was like the rat or something. I didn't remember who he was, but I remember hating the dog guy too.
Yeah, he was sniffing out Marie's trail in Gen V,
Oh,
and
that's where it is. Yeah,
now he's back in the fold. It's definitely all the B actors hanging out in the back of the
Did they
Cybertruck.
kill him in this one? Please, dear God.
I don't have him on my.
Isn't he? Is he Craven the Hunter crossed with Dog the Bounty Hunter, but in the way possible? Is how I feel. I
Yeah,
think
that about works for me. I mean,
I would
he's no
rather
Lord
I
Licorice.
would rather see rock hard jerk off lava for a whole episode than endure 5 minutes of Dog the bitch hunter, whatever he is.
All right, fair enough. So we've got them back. Frenchie and Kamiko are gonna go check in on the mad chemist who also happens to be Zoe's dad. And funny enough, Zoe stows away in the back of their van and gets to it's the school in Erie, Pennsylvania, where they've had their hidden abandoned hideout for this season. And she gets some reunion time with dad, which must have been very heartwarming for you. Did you even realize they were father and daughter?
Let's start here. So, did she watch them have cunnilingus rice, or what happened there? Because they're like, "We're gonna go do cunnilingus," and then she stows away. They're in the mystery machine. What's going on? So that's the question I have. Once again, Kamiko talking
She could
is
have been part of it with that whole
uh,
lizard tentacle
she's
mouth.
not of age, Dan, at least on the show. But maybe superheroes, they can drink it whatever age Ryan is, that's definitely over 18, but on the show 17. Okay, Kimiko should have been able to talk like several seasons ago. Once again, makes no sense how she can talk, but is just so much more fun of a character this way. I was piecing it together. What confused me most is them lying to the dad. Like I was processing that weird, but I put it together around the time that Ryan showed up, and I'm like, oh, they're them. I think they're together. Because we didn't really get a lot of time with Senator Huma Abedin. Like, she only, we saw her by herself, but we didn't see her with her husband. And then
They had been separated, so
we only
yeah.
got the daughter for one season or half a season, and then we only got the husband for an episode and a half. And so that was a little bit for me to put together, but I was able to put it together. How were you? I'm sure you, as the boy or a resident boys expert show and otherwise, that you were right on top of this.
Knowing that like they had reintroduced this character in episode one, and that we had seen Zoe and Stan Edgar over on Gen V, I thought it was probably a matter of time. And there's also a plot device that they're doing a lot of in this episode where the secrets of the boys are catching up to them. So, like, it seems apparent that Dr. Robotnik, or whatever this dude's name, isn't aware that Butcher killed the mom. And also, there's this whole secret from Maverick.
I felt like he should have known he killed the mom, but he didn't know that. But that one's more gray to me.
And I think we were even discussing this with the previous podcast. It's like, how can they be allies with what happened? And so it's confirmed that he didn't really know. So ultimately, he destroys this virus right then and there. And then now it's going to be Frenchie on deck to put Humpty Destructi back together again.
Yeah, in my writer's room, that's stupid. But what I will allow for is that in my writer's room, like, he thinks the daughter's dead, so he just wants to kill all the soups anyway because his wife's dead and he knows these people are damaging. So he wouldn't create the cure if he knew his daughter was alive. So that's why they lied about that. I also believe what you're saying is true, but I think it's stupid. So I'm just going to dismiss that part of the plot. But there's enough there that if his daughter's dead, he would think these people need to be all killed and reined in. If his wife's dead, his daughter's dead.
One
Yeah,
thing I wonder about, I don't know that he knows his daughter is a soup
he's
because her
got
powers
to.
didn't manifest until like later in life. And
Yeah.
he's been out of the picture for a while, presumed dead or something like that.
In my writer's room, he knows she's a soup. He would have never created the bullshit, but because she was dead, he was okay creating the bull. No matter what the story is, I feel like that's a better plot point. There was something else you brought up there. What was it?
Oh, the keeping the secret of who killed Translucent from Maverick. There's that secret that catches up with them all too in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, the boys is turning into the Catholic Church, but I digress.
Yeah, very similar. Pope Homelander. So
More,
one of the
less,
next little
less
bits
though. Go ahead.
that we get is your Black Spock cigar roundtable with Mother's Milk and Stan Edgar. That seems to be some flowers for Mother's Milk's dad. You remember his motivation. He wanted to take out Soups and join the boys because it was Soldier Boy that killed his dad. And then
I
Soldier
think
Boy came
so.
back on the scene, and then now he's back again. And Stan Edgar tells him the story about how a whole team of Vought lawyers worked late nights to keep up with one attorney from Harlem. Anything that you have to share on that?
I mean, it's an interesting dynamic that these are foes. I know stuff like this isn't going to happen, but I would have liked Ryan to have died this episode, or I would have liked for Mother's Milk to have just shot him right here, which I know is crazy, but it's like I wouldn't have minded a shock moment somewhere in this episode. The Huey thing did not fake me out at all. So, specifically to this, I was like, it would be pretty crazy if he just shot him right here. But I know that whatever, it is what it is. But that was one of my hopes, is that maybe something really climactic, because I'm like, is this going to be in the spinoff, or when are we going to resolve this dog and pony show? The most interesting thing part about it was that why Edgar is positioning himself to take over once this is all over. Not to bring up another
Yeah,
wrestling
he starts to talk
reference.
about like how the beast needs to be fed and how commerce and corporations really just keep on trucking no matter what you do, it's always going to be the same. And I think to your point, he's trying to position himself to get back on top.
Yeah, and to your point of calling my WrestleMania weekend out, it's like Vince McMahon still laying in the lurches, just trying to find a way back in, regardless of the fallout. Any other thoughts here on your part? Because I know you're a big fan of his.
Just that with the will they won't they that this show progressively does, they like to make strange bedfellows of, okay, now you two that hate each other team up and you're forced to do this. So speaking of strange bedfellow,
For one episode, and he turns on him like just crazy.
speaking of strange bedfellows, we get Soldier Boy and Firecrotch, the good old revenge bang. So that happens. Any insights? Like he thought he was getting at Homelander. There's some needling and gray pube measuring. Get some Just for Men for that. But like, I'm not.
I don't know that I would trust just for men with my pubes. There's got to be like something better. I don't need it to be clear. Thank the good Lord, I'll kill myself. But
I'm going gray everywhere else.
check his chocolate starfish, says Limp Bizkit. But I think that my big what you give the me review of this scene.
Soldier Boy is definitely old fashioned, and he's got to talk about how he prefers the furry beaver and does she like it shaved like a boy's ass or whatever? And
God, he'd love Jessica Z. Get his lawnmower out. But I would have liked to seen some boobs. They've been teasing them for 2 seasons. Let's just bring those milkers out, if you will. What I took everything as, though, I did think what was interesting about the setup, one, you get Homelander in the milk bath, crazy. Thank God we didn't have to see full prophylactic fake fallacy dong.
you
But
only got side butt. I know you were excited about that.
yeah, and I mean on this show that's Lay's fare, everyday standard. But he was also drinking the milk when he was talking to Sister Sledge, and then that's when Firecrotch sees the him drinking milk. And so I think that was the impetus to her notching up the flirting. And so I thought it was funny that she was saying it was up to get back at him or whatever, but I think they were both doing it. But I think the best thing that comes out of it is like the revelation of he looks at him unlike he looks at anybody else. So you can see your boy processing that because I don't think he's looked at it that way yet. Thoughts from you there?
Yeah, I just thought that it was petty. It seems this whole Soldier Boy Homelander thing is gonna come to a head on its own. I don't think Firecracker is that great a character. I don't really need, she's one that I could see less of. Let her and Dog run off and never come back, I say.
God, in a world of bald Cindy's and rat faces and vice presidents, give me something. Good God Almighty.
Okay, the boys' crew is trapped in the basement of this special installation with Stan Edgar. It seems the Deep and his crew have got them holed out in there. They're looking for different ways to get in and try and get this V1 or get to Stan or something like that. So they send little Maverick out there because he's invisible to try and stun them all, drop like a stun grenade or something like that. And as he's right about to do the deed, he gets sniffed out by Dog because of his mango Vibro spray. And then the Deep spills the news. Maverick's all pissed because Homelander killed Translucent, or so he's been told. And the Deep tells him the actual truth with minor inaccuracies that it was actually Starlight's boyfriend, Howie.
No cap, FR, bro. Yeah, I knew it was bad news to send him anywhere around anyone for this story to get out. Like, we had to know this was coming. I didn't know how quick it would come, but knew it was coming.
Yeah. And again, like they don't screw around with the tension if the backstory and they get right where they need to be. So basically, this allows the seven team, even though they're not the seven, the Vaughters, I don't know what we call them, to get in there and wreck shop a little bit. Stan Edgar winds up getting captured. He tries to like shut Huey and Stormlight in there, and then he gets tackled and dragged off into the Tesla. And the deep gases Stan Edgar and Black Noir too, which was a little bit weird.
One, I wanted to say I think this is maybe one of the Deep's best seasons so far.
Okay.
I think it helps that he's so far removed from his human sexual assault and then a step further away from his animal sexual assault. Although maybe they were consenting, but who knows if he can really talk to fish. Or as far as the Deep goes, he was very jealous that Noir got to come on the trip. And he was
He was
jealous of
almost
the
like edged out of it.
and he was jealous of the other people and but mostly jealous of
Noir.
yeah, and so I think that was like he's gonna be the one to bring home the prize. I thought maybe there'd be a suspicion or he needs to see that it's him, but we don't get that. I
You're
do
talking
think,
about Black Noir's identity.
yeah, it has to be polarity. There's just no other
I
solution
mean,
that
that's
makes
what
any
we
sense.
speculated about in the previous episode. And so that's on my mind. Has he really puzzled it out? And let's face it, the Deep isn't really that bright.
And I
But the
feel
fact that he
like
did this to Black Noir, I was like a little taken aback.
yeah, I think this was out of pettiness, not smartness. Someone's got to know. My guess is it Starlight. That's
Yeah,
the
I
only
would
thing
think
that
so
makes
too.
sense. And I do want to say, obviously, she's taken a lot of criticism for her appearance. I think she might have something called Graves' disease. I half saw some bullshit article on that. I still think she looks great and she's a great woman. Like she seems like a nice person on the show. I don't know what she's like in real life, but I just want to say that for whatever criticism we've ever had of her in the past, that I think she's a beautiful woman. And for me, one of the lights of the show, and I just wanted to speak out in favor of body positivity and her self image that I respect it.
Oh, nice little kind words for Erin Moriarty there. And I echo that. Like, I think she does a great job with this character. I would actually like to see her in other things that weren't True Detective season one 10 years ago.
Oh, I
Like,
forgot about that.
I hope after the boys, a lot of these people, other than Jack Quaid, get the opportunity, who seems to be in all sorts of things, get the chance to really branch out beyond this. I'll narrate a little bit of the battle that goes on. Maverick attacks Huey. So it's Huey versus the Invisible Man. They're swinging and flinging and fighting all over this bedroom. And I was a little confused what happened. Cindy, the one that has L powers, nod to Stranger Things there, walks in, and I think she's trying to get Huey, and so does her L power, but because she can't see Maverick, she actually like explodes him instead. And then Starlight comes up behind her and snaps her neck. And presumably Cindy's killed. Is that how you took it, or was Cindy actually against Maverick somehow? What do you make
Yeah,
of it?
well, a few points. We brought up hand jobs earlier. Certainly, based on this experience, Cindy not a great person to apply virtual hand jobs.
She's no
But
Sherry Lewis.
no, she could you learn a thing or two about needs to work a little more puppetry and ventriloquism to really get both aspects going, top down, bottom up. But yeah, I think I took it as maybe she was good and then immediately Starlight killed her. And that would be a hell of a guilt turn. What I mean? I think what you're saying makes the most sense, especially in a like final season. But if we were going longer, I could see that being an argument. I also wanted to ask who's the most famous spit take person? Is it like John Ritter or who's like The most common famous Hollywood spit take artist besides Jessica Z's mom.
I have never ranked spit takes. I don't know if I have any nominees for this prestigious award.
Let me just ask ChatGPT who has the best spit take in Hollywood. I'm going somewhere with this. They said Danny Thomas is widely credited with inventing the comedic spit take. However, in modern Hollywood, I mean, they're saying Ludacris and Tyrese Gibson. I refuse to accept any of that. But I know, like, it was a big John Ritter thing. It was a big, more of an 80s, 90s sitcom thing. Is Huey the John Ritter of Blood Bukkake? Is he like at the forefront of just getting splattered every episode or question mark?
I mean, he takes his licks here. At first, for us, it was funny to point out, and now it's center square on the bingo card. You make an interesting case there.
I'm
I
just
don't
trying to
know.
give him credit as an actor where his place in history is. I think this is something he could stake claim to. The Huey take,
I
key
also
take.
appreciate you trying to bump our numbers by hopping on board that Danny Thomas trend that all podcasts are doing right now. Oh, it's Danny Thomas this and Danny Thomas that all over the place.
Who is Danny Thomas? Is he in like the
He's like a
Moonlighters?
comedian from the 60s.
Okay.
Danny Thomas has probably never been mentioned on a podcast in the history of podcasts.
To be fair, I'll kiss my ass if he hasn't been mentioned on the Gilbert Gottfried podcast, but I will believe you other than that.
When Gilbert did his vaudeville episode.
Dude, he talks about vaudeville every episode. That's all he does,
Okay.
this guy, just to be clear. Like,
Okay, so it's us and Gilbert Gottfried. Great company.
God rest his soul.
The
And
aristocrats.
his dick pics that he used to draw that his daughter put out as art post mortem. God bless her. Continue.
All right. Then we get over to Planet Vought, or what used to be that franchise restaurant like a Planet Hollywood or a Hard Rock Cafe, but it's being remodeled. It's about to become a Planet Hollywood. And we get Ryan and Homelander reuniting, fighting, making up.
Good God.
Ryan ultimately gets the beat out of him. How did you respond to this scene?
I mean, I don't know why you do it unless you kill him. In my opinion, the way this went down, like Homelander's not a person of control or compassion. You get to this point, you get back to back, as you called it. Like the other one was literally like an Undertaker set up, but you get back to back non deaths of someone in the same family tree, like grandson, like grandfather. But I think the narrative, I don't know that we ever really had the rape clarified, but maybe we did. I definitely think he did rape her if it wasn't clear.
In my writer's room, that's how it happened, but
Yeah.
they didn't show it to keep it this one show. That's like the one part of Ick that you get to see the deep and starlight. This moment, they spared us at least.
Mike, I would revisit. So, and I do think it's relevant because it's like a key plot point but to both stories. But like in The Watchmen, the comedian like faux almost rapes the one girl, but then maybe they had consensual sex later and had a kid. So it's a very complicated situation.
Yeah.
And so this isn't like a bar for bar of that, but I think it's fair to have at least questioned. I think the more we got to know the character of Ryan's mom, the less believable it would have been. But I feel like that maybe they didn't even answer the question, but by Homelander being such a weirdo, I think it answers it as if we didn't already know. But I didn't know how you felt about that.
I remember they just show like surveillance footage of her being disheveled, leaving his like Vought Tower apartment.
Office, the milking station, I think.
Milk Station 12. So, yeah, I mean, I'm wondering, I don't know how Ryan and Homelander even arranged this meeting. It just happens. There must have been some back
I
channel.
assume Ryan sets it up however he was going to set it up with the virus, but just with no virus. It did look like, to my credit, one of the things in that room was Legos, made out of Legos, maybe one of the big statues. Could be wrong, but I thought when I saw it fall that was possible. Now, is this the same? It had the theme park outside where there was like Brave Maeve's Vicarious Castle, or was that something else?
No, this is like the Times Square restaurant where they
Okay.
took Ryan when he was little with.
Yeah, I remembered that, but I didn't remember if on the way in there was like Brave Maeve phallic churros. You could get one of one of the other, turkey
They
leg.
did also, this is two nods to Stormfront or Liberty, who
Yeah.
died a couple seasons ago.
Well, wait, did she die? Did he finally kill her? Or is she still just like a nub of a shell of I'm RoboCop? Put me in something
I thought there was a moment of euthanasia.
where Homelander choked her out.
Yeah.
I believe that's very probable.
But just the fact that there's two references or nods because they're explaining to Soldier Boy like all the old school V1 people and that she was Frederick Vought's wife or girlfriend or whatever. And I think there's even a reference once where Soldier Boy a couple seasons ago says he banged some soup named Liberty in the
Yeah,
70s.
yeah, and I think we're just setting up. I mean, this guy who did Supernatural will be happy till he gets 16 seasons one way or another. So this is going to be the prequel show where Stormfront's in her infancy, and we get to see this whole thing all over again. That's my prediction here.
Okay, let's put it on the waiting list.
After the Vadamundo show, maybe we'll get that. The Turner Classic Movies.
Starlight, I just have a note. Starlight takes off. Maybe she's like just flying away from the whole Huey
We
scene or
had to
something.
will they won't they again.
We had to. And then, of course, Butcher finds Ryan. And because of this run in fight, Ryan's still breathing, even though he gets the beat out of him. But we needed this will they, won't they between Ryan, Butcher, and Homelander for Ryan to go back to Team Butcher.
Can I make a boy's birthday wish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can Terror hump the out of him while he's comatose and healing in Butcher's apartment, and Terror just keeps going to town on Little Rye? That's my request.
Tara is the bulldog that just comes in whenever the plot convenience seems to allow it. And it serves as the best the boys can do for a heartwarming moment. And then we get Stan Edgar back as a captive at Vought Tower. So we've had a couple puzzle pieces moved around the board, and he's there more as a prisoner, but it's got to be just a matter of time before he starts manipulating and working with Sister Sage and that whole dog and pony show.
How truly valuable has Sister Sage been to this show?
Minimal. Yeah, I would say
I
minimal.
would say the most impactful she actually was in Gen V. I feel like her role could have been played by a better soup in both other seasons. I would just like to throw that out there because she's been a dickhead the whole time. And then they're just going to be like, oh, she realizes he's bad and she's going to help. And it's not earned.
So I think in my writer's room, the way that I'm seeing it, she's supposedly, I like the idea of a super smart villain. They haven't really explored it. And it's a little plot conveniency for after everything happens for her to go, oh, yeah, that's just what I predicted. The most unpredictable, ridiculous thing. So if that's where they're going, I don't like it. But I can see a path where ultimately, even though she is part of the seven and she's putting up with Homelanders, she's got a bigger plan in place that hasn't been obvious to the viewer. And so things are going to be shown from a perspective where she has been pulling certain strings to make this whole thing go her way. And she will either be the ultimate hero or the ultimate villain.
Yeah. And I will say, if she's the ultimate villain or she partners with Juan Carlos Stanton, that this will be rewarding. But if she's just, oh, I'm a
Juan
good
Carlos Stanton plays for the Yankees.
he needs to get his batting average up. But secondarily speaking, yeah, I would buy that and it could feel earned. But if she's just, I'm a good guy now, it's worse than A Train to me.
Fair point.
If she's
Any
a good
other
guy in her own mind, but that is meeting her own ends like Juan Carlos Esposito is, where it's like he's a bad guy, but he's doing what he thinks is, you could see him justify himself saying a corporation's going to take over. It could be any corporation, might as well be me. I'm not going to sue Ronald McDonald's for giving Uncle Gary diabetes and losing his foot. Like that, I believe if they partner together that way. But her just being like, oh, I've come to my senses, you guys were, or I was always intending to make sure you guys came out on top, that to me won't feel earned.
I think it would be interesting if she was more of an anarchist and like she's trying not just to take Vought down, but the actual whole corporation monster that Juan Carlo, that was Stan Edgar is saying has to exist. If she's trying to dismantle that from a powerful position, like I could see that be an interesting power dynamic.
Yeah, I'll accept that as her redemption arc. If it's like she doesn't do anything, but it's like the Batman letter at the end of the trilogy where it's like, I closed all the things and all the loops and nobody can do this again. I bid you adieu. Okay, I'll take that. But I don't want her to just be like, oh, I'm one of the crew. Let's eat shawarma and have a barbecue. Like it was all cool the whole time. Just kidding, guys. Like that I won't like as much.
All right, any final wrap up on this episode?
No, I mean, I definitely think this season is playing better than last season and more in line with the boys as a whole has been. Last season, no what or what anybody tells me was not good, and most of the other stuff has been good. So I'm enjoying it, especially one episode at a time. Great. Compliments to the chef. What about you, Dan?
This is one of those episodes that has me hesitant. I can see it go either way. I can see us just like circling an endless drain of will they, won't they. I think you might have said that you recently watched the last season of Game of Thrones. One thing that you can say is it was pretty breakneck. It was almost too breakneck for the audience to keep up with the different motivations and the body count. But I would like to see this be a little bit more final season of Game of Thrones where there's rewarding things happening every episode and a lot of consequences happening every episode so that you're left like trying to catch your breath at the end of an episode.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, I think Game of Thrones is a show that did all the little stuff so well, the side conversations and the side stories. Whereas this show is the opposite. It's done all the big stuff, but the small stuff is just they have one playbook. It's the dice roll, bring them together, separate them every few episodes. Any comments on your side on the Kamiko stuff? I thought her porn addiction was funny. The way I'm not saying she's specifically porn addicted, but just her like brain processing all of these different video searches. And it's like almost like an autistic brain that just learned how to speak. I just think she's been good. Frenchie is Frenchie. He's not bad, but he's not like setting the world on fire. And one other thing to both Dan and Craig's imaginary points, like you were asking the point of the one guy, and I said it so like he can eventually find the real cure that covers all the bullshit bases. And I think we're gonna head in that direction where that's Frenchie's job. Anything else from you?
No, like there are so many characters now that I think Kamiko gets sidebarred into just being henchman number three with a couple quippy lines. And the boys at this point, the sex and gore and the covet all, it's lost its specialty to me. It's just like watching South Park kids cuss now. It's not as cute as it was the first time.
Yeah, I will see. I feel cheated out of Little Cricket and Firecracker Boobs this season. I don't know how you felt about Lil Maverick, but I thought his lines seemed very oddly delivered and like in a writer's room, worse than Daddy Homelander. So that was weird. For whatever it's worth, he was in Heated Rivalry, which is like the gay show on HBO with the
Oh, the one that
homoerotic.
got all the buzz that I never heard of.
I only heard of it from Bob, and he was like, "You should be ashamed of yourself. You cover TV and you don't know about this show." And I'm like, "It's just not in my algorithm, bro." But I think he's got one credit on both shows. So, yeah, I didn't love what was going on with his voice acting either, but guess we don't have to worry about that.
Sure, you just don't want to wing a Deadpool?
I just don't have enough. I mean, you have your like draft board right now. We're gonna go snake. You draft,
Yep.
I draft. Let me pull up the IMDb so I at least have a fighting chance as you've already produced this. I'll give you first pick because you're more prepared than me.
Okay, now you usually like to have power rankings for the pick after you lose at the end of the season. Oh, if we would have done it this way, you can design this however you want.
Okay, here's the deal. We're gonna do a pick a wheel spin for first pick. Hang on. Pick a wheel. Wheels of names, random name picker. So it's gonna be Dan and Craig. Oh, they gotta put our names separate. Craig.
If we're going to be different spots on the wheel, yeah, that would be good.
This is how I decide which of my employees is gonna call back customers that nobody wants to call back. Okay, so entries. Can I spin it? Let's see. Tap to spin so you can see it's
Okay.
50-50.
All right. It's spinning. It's a spinning.
This is for first pick.
Just went over into you. Yay!
Okay. So it will go me, then you get two picks, then I get two picks, and you get two picks, like snake draft, but it's only
Okay.
two people. I am going to take Butcher in my number one hole.
That was my number one as well.
Yeah, it's a
So
safe
good
pick.
on you there. So with the second pick, I'm going to go Homelander.
Okay, interesting. Homelander, and you get another pick.
I'm going to go Starlight.
Interesting.
So now you get two.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take polarity, and I am gonna take the dad of the girl, the one-legged man.
Okay, so Dr. Robotnik is what I'm calling him.
Yeah.
Both of them were not on my draft board, I will have you know.
Okay, you got two coming.
So I'm gonna go Firecrotch
Okay, it's not a bad pick.
and Ashley, the vice president.
You got her a pick early from me. While we're here, I'm gonna take old Dog Knot himself.
Okay. He was near the bottom of my ranking, so that's a good play.
Let's see. I will go Frenchie.
Okay. He would be probably an interesting casualty. So with my two, I'm gonna
Who are
go
your last two again?
Firecracker and Ashley.
Fuck. You robbed me of Ashley.
My next two are gambles, but I like them. I'm gonna go Stan Edgar, and then my next one's far off the board, but I'm gonna take it anyway. I think we get a return of Brave Maeve, and she goes down in a blaze of fire.
So I definitely think we're getting the return of Brave Maeve, but I felt like she'll save the day, maybe be the new leader of the Seven. Who's to say? But I definitely think she's gonna.
I see her returning in that Avengers Endgame type knockoff scene where just Termite and everybody from Hero Gasm and people that you haven't seen the whole show just come back.
I am gonna hop up out the bed, turn my swag on, and take Soldier Boy
Ooh.
with my six hole. But he's probably gonna live for all these other stupid shows they do. Let's see, who else do I want here? Do you want to just go to eight? What's your number you want to end up at?
I could have three or four more, so we'll stop wherever you run out of gas.
Okay, who's the crazy guy on Gen V?
Sam,
Yeah, I've got Sam from Gen V.
that was pretty high up on my ranking. So one, two, three, four, five, six. That's seven for you, is that right?
Yep.
Two, three, four, five, and six for me. Okay. I'm gonna go Oh Father, who's that religious dude that Ashley
Ashley's
just
boyfriend.
married,
Yeah,
the head of the church.
that's fair.
And I think there's a way for me to pick this, but you can legislate it. Black Noir 2 if it's not polarity.
I will allow it if it's specifically the actor guy, or you have to say who you're picking is under there. But if it's the actor and you say Black Noir actor, I allow it fully.
Okay, so I can't take
You can't take
grab
a
bag,
you
whoever's
can't
under
take
the
a
mask,
grab
it's
bag,
not
but
polarity.
you could take it with a direct guess.
Okay, then I'm gonna back away from that one. And I'm gonna mix it up. And this should be my last one, right? This is my final pick.
Is this your seven? Wait,
Uh,
who'd you take first?
I took Oh Father, I think, as my seventh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine if we want to wrap it up after this.
And then with my final pick, I'll go Kamiko.
It's a good counter to my Frenchie pick. If one of them dies, I still think it's Frenchie though.
There's a couple interesting ones that we have not picked.
I had a good one. I just gotta find what it was. I had a very clear last pick. Oh, I take Black Noir. I take the actor who played Black Noir. So Black Noir 2,
Okay.
very specifically. I feel good about that.
Okay. Interesting.
So you've got Homelander, Starlight, Firecrotch, Ashley, Double Gingers, Stan Edgar, Brave Maeve, the father of the bride, and Kimiko. I've got Butcher, Polarity, One Legged Man, Dognaught, Frenchie, Soldier Boy, Sam, and Black Noir 2, the actor guy.
Wow.
But
So
only if it's him. But I've got
notable.
both Black Noirs to be fair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've got the Black Noir double play. So not
Or
undrafted,
DP, as Kamiko would call it. Continue.
undrafted players. Neither of us were going to bite on Huey.
No,
Interesting. The Deep.
I
Nobody.
don't think they kill him.
Yeah. Even though we'd really like it, nobody took Sister Sage.
I'd like her to die.
Yeah. I thought you might just from rooting interest alone. That's why I had to grab Ashley.
Yeah, I was definitely taking Ashley.
I think there was like one other that I had. Nobody took Mother's Milk.
We saw the writers room on Euphoria this week. They don't have the balls to kill Sister Sage. I think it's more likely that Mother's Milk just gets alienated from his family. That's my guess. He's got to do like the Incredible Hulk walk away hitchhike scene. He's going to restart the Watchdog group on Juan Carlos Esposito's
He'll be
new
around for Vought Rising or whatever.
Vought Ascension.
You did take my bait on Soldier Boy because I think he's already signed on for the next show.
Yeah, no, I knew it as soon as I did it because I know he's gonna do bullshit spin-offs. I just
I will take whatever little victory I can, but thank you for doing that. But we got 5 episodes to sort this out. There's got to be a couple.
yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, and thanks for making me re-engage on that. And yeah, we'll move on.